Tuesday morning.
All right.
So I already went live. Let's
Oh yeah, look at that.
Hey, all right, we're live. This is Brice Hancock, and I'm talking with Rich Ross. Rich Ross is one of my friends who is kind of living the dream, kind of making a living.
Kinda.
You're making a living as a musician. Like, I don't have that many friends that did that, that are doing that, that are currently doing that. You know what I mean?
It's crazy. It's not an easy thing to do. I think they say like 2% of musicians can actually live off of doing it. I'm not kidding. It's a really low percentage, but my whole life I've always been in the music industry and done the band thing as well as something in the music industry. So I've been real lucky in that way. So
you're playing with Freddy Jones Band right now?
Yeah, past 5 years. Freddy Jones Band official.com is our website, and it's been going great. The band was on quite a hiatus before that.
Yeah.
So we definitely have had to build back up and get things going again. But it's been incredible. Yeah.
So talk about that. So like back in the day, it was Freddy Jones Band. Who else was playing back then? The Samples, Dave Matthews, Hootie and the Blowfish.
Big Head Todd.
Big Head Todd, and it was all kind of like a circuit, right?
Yeah.
Couple bands.
I think at one point, Dave Matthews Band, had, I don't know if they had opened for Freddy Jones Band or if they were opening a few shows for them. They were on the road with them, and somewhere it flip-flopped, and Dave started headlining. And I think the same thing happened with Big Head Todd because Dave got so big at that time.
Yeah.
And it was like well deserved. I mean, great band.
Yeah. So let me tell you my Frey story. We were playing, we're all Rubber Planet. My band Rubber Planet was playing. And we were bouncing around town, and we had a little success for a while. And we were playing with like Love 45 and the Frey. And then we played a show at the Gothic Theater, right? And it was the Frey and us. And I was backstage with the Frey, and I was drunk, of course. And I was talking to, I think it was Joe, and they were drinking water. And I thought, and I talked to them for a while, and then they left. And I said to Leo, I was like, what a bunch of shitty rock stars. You know what I mean? They'll never make it. They'll never make it. And then literally 6 months later, they're like the biggest band on the planet or something like that,
Well, you want to know a funny story about that is Dave Herrera actually took me to meet them one night from Westward, Dave Herrera, to introduce me to them because he was like, you would be perfect to play bass in this band. And I saw them and I thought they were great, but I was going through a breakup at that time, and I basically said, I'm not interested in playing in a local band. And just like you said, next thing you know, I mean, they're blowing up and they're on every radio station. So every time the Cable Car song came on the radio, I just thought to myself, well, bad decision there. But who knows if it would have worked out, or, who knows what would have happened.
Yeah, but it's like, I don't know, whatever. So I came and saw you guys at the Soiled Dove recently. It was sold out, right?
Yeah, it was awesome.
A great show. It was a killer show. So one of the reasons we're talking tonight is because I think it's okay if I talk about this. You're a sober guy too, right?
I am a sober guy. I just celebrated 8 years here.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's honestly been the best 8 years of my life.
Who were you playing with right before you sobered up?
was playing with the Samples.
Okay.
Yep. For about 3 years. And that's when I think, you know, and it wasn't playing with them that caused it. It was, I think, my life at that time going through some custody stuff. And, you know, you just get into, I just got into, I had stopped drinking when I was 19. So I didn't start drinking again until I was 32 or maybe 30, maybe 34, 35. I started drinking again.
So you were
and it was just
for a while, over a decade.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'd quit, you know, and I felt pretty good, but back then it was a lot tougher to be a non-drinker. I think it's gotten better over the years. You know, I was in my 20s. I had a child, and you know, I was just playing dad. It really kind of took my career in a different way than I wanted to go, and I made a lot of sacrifices to be a father and be there for my son, which I didn't have growing up. So you know, and then when in 1999 I started playing with the Samples, 99 and 2000, and went on tour.
And they were big.
And I think the band was really popular.
They were a big band.
Yeah, and it was the first big gig on a tour bus that I had. And then I realized how happy I was doing that, and that, you know, I was 28 or 27 years old, and I had been with this girl since I was 17. I was a different person, and I realized, hey, this isn't working out for me. And so yeah, when I went back, we got a divorce, and you know, I went on doing fine with my sobriety for a few years until you know, until one night out. I remember, you know, I was out and everybody's like, oh, let's have a glass of wine. And I thought, you know, I've been sober a long time. This will be easy. I'll have a glass of wine. And I did it. And, you know, then I noticed that week I was drinking a little more. And,
yeah,
you know, then the week after that, it's like, oh, I'm out with this guy. He's like, let's do shots. I'm like, oh yeah, I had a glass of wine. I'm fine with a shot. And then I start doing that. And then, you know, then you're out with guys and they're like, hey, you know, do you have any painkillers? I'm like, well, what? And I was like, okay, let's try that. And I was going through a lot of stuff in another custody situation. I had a daughter with a girl, and so I'm dealing with lawyers. And I think that once that really started hitting hard, the fact that I fell off the wagon in the first place, I probably could have held everything together much better looking back. But once stuff got really deep, then I went overboard, as you can imagine. I mean, it's just like, I think to kill the pain and to, you know, brush the problems aside, so to speak.
Yeah. So you identify as being an alcoholic then, is that right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So yeah, like for me, it's like, you know, you drink when you're sad, and you drink when you're happy to like make it better. You drink when you're sad to make it better.
Right.
And then I'm just drinking. And you know what I mean? And yeah, like painkillers to erase hangovers, stimulants to stay up longer. And then you're just a mess. I'm just a mess. Yeah. And it messes with the brain chemistry, you know what I mean? Like your endorphins don't work right. The chemicals that are naturally produced in your body don't work right anymore. And yeah. So like when I sobered up, I think it was like a year. We were just talking about that. It took me like a year, but I think it was like 6 months when I woke up one day and I realized I hadn't thought about drinking for a couple of weeks. And it was like this magical feeling, like I think maybe I'm going to be okay. But I don't remember being truly happy for probably like over a year, like right around.
Yeah, I don't think I did either. And I remember there's a lot of willpower that goes into being in this industry that I'm in, and, you know, holding it together. Cause I mean, it's rare now that you have a guy that's hammered backstage at any show. And I'm friends with all the bands. I go to all the shows. But once in a while you see a guy that is hammered back there, and you realize that guy has an issue. And I swear, I don't know, we attract them because they'll be talking to me about cleaning up. I've had more people reach out to me about getting sober than I've ever imagined. And I'm talking about huge athletes, actors, singers. And, you know, I mean, just from being in this music scene and knowing so many people for so long. And, you know, everybody wants to know how you did it.
Yeah, how'd you do it? What's the bad trick? You know, that's what they want to know. How'd you do it? And it's like, well, it was really hard. It was really hard.
Yeah, it's definitely sacrifice. And, you know, I didn't have the same friends after I cleaned up. I had people very upset with me that felt like I had betrayed them as friends, especially, you know, it's like you have to change the places that you hang out. I mean, and that's a tough thing to do when you're a musician, and, you know, and I started being more of a homebody, which I was telling my girlfriend. She's like, how do you feel, you know, now that we're in quarantine here? And I'm like, my life really hasn't changed. I've been in quarantine for a year.
Yeah, right. I mean,
I rarely do anything. I stay home and I go play shows, and, you know, I go to Starbucks and drink some coffee, meet some friends, or I'll, you know, but the only thing that's changed is we're not doing shows right now. And
so what do you think about that? Are you nervous? What do you think is going to happen, dude?
I think that this is going to change the way a lot of people think about life. I think that, you know, people are going to be more appreciative about, you know, everything that we have in life, you know, and the day-to-day grind is hard. And for a lot of people, and I can't say that I feel that way. I mean, I'm very fortunate to have lived the life that I live. Even before, you know, I always kind of worked in the guitar industry from home and played in bands. I've lived the dream that I've wanted to live, and that's not to have to report somewhere at 5 and get yelled at by someone. And I'm not opposed to trying that or ever doing that in the future, but, you know, I'm all for learning new trades and learning things. But at the end of the day, the happiest I've ever been in my life is doing things I love. And that's what I'm doing. And that's what I have been doing. But until 8 years ago, I've never experienced the joy in my life that I feel now. I mean, I get the goosebumps now. I get those feelings of excitement when we're going to play. And when we're done playing, I have that, like you said, those endorphins popping. I feel like I could jump through the roof. And, you know, I appreciate my friends more. And people always say that. They're like, when we come out of this whole thing, everybody's going to appreciate life more. I was appreciating it before.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah, I get that. But it's like, I think a lot of people needed that. It feels to me like this. It feels like people that have done some inner work, sort of like, you know, what they say, dealt with their shit, and maybe worked a 12-step program, or have some sense of spirituality or appreciation or gratitude for their life. They're almost okay with what's going on. People that were like living in the matrix and have done no inner work, all their fears are coming to the surface and they're like freaking out, right? But I think a lot of people are going to shift. I think they're going to shift. I think they're going to like develop an appreciation for what they have and who's in their life. And if they didn't have it before, they may have it now. I went to the grocery store and I was so happy that they didn't have a million choices. It's almost like our society, there's too much, you know what I mean? There's too much.
Right.
Like, I went to the store, there was a very few choices, and I was so happy that I got what they had. You know what I mean?
Dude,
like,
it's funny because, I mean, some of the stuff sold out. A lot of the crap, like breads and stuff, it's like there's plenty of stuff to choose from. It's just that's our society's wired that way. They're like, it's like, what do you see? And it's funny because there's so many beautiful people out there in the world, and they focus on this. They focus on how they look, you know, is my body look good? Is my face good? Do I have, you know, do I need my wrinkles out? Whatever. When they really need to focus on the inside. You know, there's so many people that are worried just about the outside layer that, you know, to me, some of the most beautiful people I've ever met are the people that when they communicate with you, you get on that same wavelength as them. You know, there is something special about talking to someone, and you feel it. I meet so many people playing in the band, and you can feel that when you're talking to some people. And that's something I've maybe avoided in the past, you know, to really think about or look at, because I think I was that guy, you know. And
for sure. Once you start being authentic, you'll attract authentic people, right? Like I like authenticity. I hate phoniness. I don't want to talk about football or politics or any of the mundane stuff that I consider bullshit. I like having authentic. There's like, what's going on? And there's like, what's really going on? And I like talking about what's really going on, or I don't want to waste my time.
Well, I'll tell you what, we were working with, years ago, we had Rob Thomas as manager, and his name's Ed, and he was working with me on the band. And I called him up one day, so frustrated about Marty, our singer, you know, and just the communication's different. And he just said to me, Rich, stop thinking that everybody around you thinks like you. We're all wired different. What you may think is the best thing in the world, texting, communications, he may think is the worst, you know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's just funny when you said that about football. You know, I'm a huge football fan, but I agree with you. Like there's so many things that this is where you and I connect. Music is where you and I connect, you know, and that's the things that, and I always find that with certain friends, you know. And sobriety is where I connect with a lot of people. And, you know, it's, there's no better feeling than seeing someone, you know, turn their life around and start headed in the right direction. You see it in the success in their life. You see it in their personality. I mean, it's something that comes out in every way.
Yeah. I literally I've had 2 lives, right? And I was never happy. And at the end, I was a late stage alcoholic. I don't know if you remember what I looked like or what I was like, but a lot of my friends do. And it was just really bad.
You and I, we were in the same boat, dude. The same thing happened to me.
Okay. Yeah. I went to the doctor, and the doctor said, you're a late stage alcoholic and you're going to die if you don't stop drinking.
Right.
I give you a year. And I drank for well over a year. I just couldn't stop.
Yeah.
I'd lost the power of choice in my drinking. I was completely physically dependent. And I kind of accepted that I was going to die. Like in my head, like in here, I was like, I'm not going to live to be an old person. And that's just the way that is. Yeah. And then I sobered up through a tremendous amount of drama and effort. And I sobered up. And then I was like, I'm not going to die anytime soon. I could be here for a really long time. And it started to shift. And then the way I started to think started to shift. And then it's like, who am I as a sober man? Well, who do I want to be? Right. And not like, who do I want to be? Not who I think my parents want me to be, or society wants me to be. Like what lights me up. Right. And what lights me up is usually stuff I didn't see coming, and helping other people is like really what kind of like makes me feel like I'm fulfilling a purpose, you know? And so that's kind of how I fell into what I'm doing now. And you continued to play music, and that's, you know, that's amazing to me. I just had to look at myself, and it was like, that's not really what I'm here for. Like, that's not what God put me here for, is to play music. It was a lot of fun, and I did have a lot of fun, and it's still fun. It's fun to be good at something, right?
Yeah, music's a great outlet, and it's something that you can do the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I mean, if you hang it up for 5 years, you can always pick it up. And, you know, what's funny, Brice, is when I sobered up, I moved to LA for 8 or 9 months. And the drummer at the time, who was with Matchbox 20, is one of my close friends. And he said, oh, you come here, we'll get you a gig. You'll be in a big band. You'll be touring. Dude, I went there and nothing. No friends. I mean, this is my first year sober in LA. No friends. No girlfriend, no social life whatsoever, in a stranger in a strange land completely. And I realized, I was like, I think this is the worst that I've ever felt in my entire life, you know, because you add sobriety, you know, fresh And I had friends here in Denver reaching out to me, checking on me, and I was playing the whole, oh, it's great card, because you don't want anybody to worry. But man, I was miserable out there.
You were.
And one day I just packed all my stuff and I called a mutual friend of ours and I said, I'm moving back. I can't take it. I can't take it. And I moved back and I ended up staying with him for about 3 months. And then I got an opportunity in Tampa. It took me down there and I was down there for 8 months and it started to get better, but I was still in the sobering up and realized the people around me all had issues. I'm like, can't hang out with these people.
Yeah.
And the weirdest thing happened for me, Brice. It's I went to see my friend James Cook, who plays with Luke Bryan, and he said, I don't know why you're not playing music. He's like, I've looked up to you since the 90s. And he said the nicest things to me. And he goes, if you move to Nashville, I will help you. I will help you get back on the map and we will get you going again the right way. So 2 weeks later, I move everything to Nashville. And sure enough, I was thinking the whole time, I'm going to go up there. It's just going to be like LA. I'm going to sit around and everyone's defensive and no one wants to sub their gigs out. And I went to Nashville. It was a completely different scene and people embraced me. And, when James is telling people I'm coming and introducing me to people, it's not like a stranger meeting someone. You're meeting them through a legitimate source. And it changed my life, man. And I think anyone that's followed me on Facebook the past 8 years can see what's happened in my life has been literally the most amazing turnaround ever. And I started playing with band after band after band. And I mean, tons of famous country bands, which I'm not the biggest country fan, but it's great. It's great playing. I played with Phil Vassar, Josh Grayson, Rich O'Toole, Brian Collins. I mean, guys that had #1 songs. I mean, it was quite an experience. But when I got the opportunity to be in the Freddy Jones Band and now to manage the band and be a big part of it, I love them. It's exactly where I want to be.
Yeah.
Who in their 40s is playing music? I mean,
no, it's a good fit, man. It's a good fit for you, and it sounds great. But you're always really a totally pro player. I mean, you've been aren't you sponsored by Modulus?
Yeah, I'm with Modulus, D'Addario, Galen Kruger. I mean, I've always taken it very seriously, and it's since the 90s. And a lot of my friends that I grew up with, I idolized as players as a kid. I became very close with in the 90s, and you know how it is. When you get a buddy that plays in the NFL, you want to do it. I got buddies that play in big bands. They're like my mentors, and they happen to be all sober guys.
That's cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool. I think that's is that partly because of our experience? I don't want to say our age.
What's that?
Is that because we're older? Like when you're in your 20s, most people are partying.
Yeah. Well, that was hard for me in my 20s because remember I was sober.
Yeah, that's right. You missed out on that.
In my 20s, I didn't drink. I mean, I had partied so hard by the time I was 19 that, and then I found out I remember my wife at the time, I came home one morning after not coming home. And I was shaking. I was doing drugs. I was drinking. I was laying on the couch, just crying. And she loaded me up into the car and drove me to some place called the Washington House. And these two big dudes came in and got me, took me into detox. And I was there for 2 weeks. And it changed my life, man. And you know what? I'll tell you what, sitting there and seeing people that are successful, that are presidents of companies and that are, or I should say, were presidents of different companies, or people that, had a family member die that were doing drugs with them, and hearing, how powerful it is. All of a sudden the party cool factor becomes very uncool. And it stuck with me, man, until I started drinking again in my 30s. And, when everything started to hit the fan back in 2000, maybe 11, everything happened at once for me. I almost died doing drugs. I got a DUI all in the same week. And, you know, it's like my mom passed away. A friend of mine went into the hospital for issues, and it all just hit at once. And I started going to the alcohol classes for the DUI, and it was the same thing. I sat around and everybody's like, this is crap. This is
bullshit. I don't
yeah, this is, I got, you know, I'm going to get out of this. I'm going to hire a lawyer. And they're, you know, and I was sitting there, and I remember my first class, the first girl that talked in the circle, she said she was really nervous, and she said, yeah, I'm scared to be here right now. And she's like, I was drinking and driving one night, and I ran a red light and I killed 2 people. And I was like in shock, and everything froze then. And I thought, you know what? I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Because that could have been me killing someone.
Yeah. Well, it's like, it's real. Like, this is a disease. It's real, and it will kill us. It wants us dead. And denial is a huge part of the disease. That's the hallmark of the disease, is denial. And I did those classes. I got 2 DUIs, and you go around the circle, and everybody goes,
now you're bragging.
Yeah, Brice. Oh, Brice, no alcohol, no drugs this week. Everything's great. And then it goes to the next person, and they say the same lie, and it goes around, and it's like this big joke.
Right.
And half the people in there clearly need help.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's funny because I think when you don't drink, people are always trying to justify why they're drinking to you. Do you ever notice that?
Totally.
I'm like, I don't drink. And then somebody will be like, oh, yeah, well, you know, I can stop when I want. And they give you all these lines. I'm not an alcoholic. I only drink after work. And it's like, dude.
Like, I really don't care.
Yeah, I don't care if you drink once. If you drink too much and you go out and kill someone, that's a drinking problem.
That's a problem.
I mean, that is a drinking problem.
Yeah, I really don't. Yeah, it is. It's a problem, right? I just don't judge people. I don't do that. If somebody wants help, I'll help all day long. If they don't want help, rock on. I mean, have one for me. Whatever. Like, I'm in the business of helping people that want help, but that's one of the first questions I always ask. Well, you know, they'll call me and they'll say, my son needs help. And it's like, does your son want help? And if they say no, I say, well, there's not much I can do.
Right.
It's a bummer.
And a lot of times, you know, us kids, when back then we were very stubborn, and we thought we could do anything, and we thought, you know, we could live any life we want, and we're going to be fine. And, you know, kind of like the corona disease, virus going around.
Yeah,
people are out thinking it's not going to mess with me, and now you see how deadly this thing is with certain people. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a trip. This whole coronavirus thing is a trip, and there's like a lot of questions that we don't have answers for right now, right?
Yeah, it's a scary, scary situation, and I think you know, I'm playing the part. I'm staying in, hanging out with my girlfriend. She's a weather person here in town. She's doing the weather in the other room. We have a whole studio we set up. It's so awesome.
It is awesome.
So I'll watch it in here and go and check on her and adjust the camera. And the camera is her cell phone.
Oh,
and it looks so good. Yeah, there's an app that she signs in on, and we've got the lighting in there, and the microphone goes right into this cell phone. And it's, I mean, technology, look what we're doing now. You know?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
This is pretty cool.
I know. It's crazy.
For sure.
So what's going to happen? You guys going to go back on tour? Do you know?
Our agent called. So we're with Skyline Booking Agency. And he called yesterday, and he basically told me, look, we're going to go ahead and cancel everything in April and May and reschedule it now while we can. And, you know, I'm hoping by the end of April that this stuff is kind of under control and we can go out and start living regular lives. But I'm sure that the concert situation isn't going to be able to fire back up until, I would think, June or July. Yeah. I mean, getting those big groups together, and man, I'll tell you what, I didn't when I was off the wagon, I didn't go to a lot of concerts for some reason. I don't know why, but when I sobered up, I started going to concerts, and I mean, dude, I have so many amazing friends in this business, and every time I went, I had such a blast, and it was such an amazing memory for me.
Yeah.
So like now I'm sad I can't go to anything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. I all I do is work anyway. So my life is kind of the same.
But you're doing something that you love, and
well, I
talk
like
a little bit about, because I saw the front of the Westward, which you look amazing on. And this was a long time ago when I saw that, but I have to say, Brice, I was so proud of you, because I remember you down in the dumps, and I'm sure you remember me, and at that time, or maybe we don't remember each other, which is the normal alcoholic, but it's you've come a long way, man, and I'm super proud of you. And I see a lot of people commenting on your stuff that I know, and people that I've been in, friendships or whatever over the years, have known over the years, all great people that have changed their lives. And, it's, you're really helping a lot of people. And to me, that's the heroes in the world are doing what you're doing. And I'm trying to put the same out.
Yeah. Like I lost a lot of friends. Like I owned a bar, right? And I played music forever and owned a bar. So I was making a living selling booze as a bar owner, and in a band, you're selling booze. Like when you go to
right.
That's what we do, right? We don't do it for that. We do it because we love playing music, right?
Right.
But we are selling booze, right? And so that was my life. I was selling booze. I was drinking booze. I was hanging around other alcoholics, and they were my friends. And when I sobered up, I had to sell the bar. I had to get divorced. And all my friends were gone.
Yeah.
They were gone except for a select few, like Reedy, the guys in my band, and a few others. So I really had to start over, and I had to reinvent myself, because that was my whole life. That was my identity, right? And my first job was H&R Block, and I hated it, dude. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know.
I actually, it's funny you mentioned that, because right around the time before I got the DUI, I'd been going through all this legal stuff with, my daughter. And I mean, we're talking 6 figures worth of, the money is crazy. And it's lawyers are so expensive, especially when it lasts for years. And so a friend of mine at the time said, "Hey, I'm going to get you a job working in the insurance industry." And I was like, "Oh, well, I'm all for learning a new trade. I'll try it. Maybe I'll like it." And I wasn't doing anything then. That was like the recession of 2008, 9, and 10. It was a weird time. And this was probably 10 or 11. Man, I did that for 3 or 4 months, and I'm not wired for that.
Right.
I am not wired to be talked to that way in any kind of business, to be treated like that.
Yeah.
And it taught me a lot, because now that I manage a band, which I'm in, it's like there's certain ways that you can talk to people and certain ways that you can't. And I've learned, through a lot of friends of mine, how to communicate better without insulting people or without putting people down, and, just to try to get the point across. And I'll tell you what, it's been an amazing experience being able to work with people, yet be in charge, but not have them feel like I'm the guy in charge.
Yeah.
And a lot of that, I couldn't have done that drinking, man. I would have been all over the place. And, especially depending on how bad I felt the next day.
Yeah. I think I was a terrible boss when I owned a bar. I think I would black out and lose my temper a lot. I think I'm a pretty good boss now. I think I've got 18 employees now. It's a lot. Yeah. But I think they all, well, maybe not all of them like me. Most of them like me. But,
you know what? There's always someone that no matter what you do, you're not going to see eye to eye with. And, that's okay.
Yeah.
We don't have to be friends with everybody, but I don't want to disrespect anyone. And, everybody's got their own reason for why they are the way they are.
Yeah,
And
but you're lucky. We're both lucky. I'm in an industry where we want everybody that works for me wants to be here. Like,
yeah,
and you're in an industry where everybody wants to be doing what they're doing too, right? Like,
right.
you just attract the right people and everything will work out, right?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
For
All right.
sure.
Well, dude, it's been good talking to you. I don't know how long we've been on, probably for a while.
35 minutes. I find doing these chats and stuff. I've been doing them with a lot of my band people, friends around the country, just to pass the time. And it's you know, you'll get on there to talk for 15 or 20 minutes, and then you're having such a good time, and you know, next thing you know, it's an hour later, and it's no different than if we were hanging out in person.
No, not really. Except for I usually see you at a club and it's loud, and we're going like, what?
Yeah, right. Well, I don't actually think I've seen you out forever.
No, I've seen your band. Well, I think I've seen your band like 3 or 4 times in the last couple of years.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I just
thank you.
I don't say hi.
You're like me, dude. People get pissed about that. Sometimes I go see someone, I watch, you know, the set, and then I bail because I don't want to bother them.
Yeah.
And then people get, you know, and I have people get mad at me. They're like, you didn't say hey to me after the show. I was like, well, kind of get pulled in every direction.
Yeah.
But you know, I appreciate anyone that comes out, and I'm so thankful that you did. And you know, Chris Reedy, who is one of my closest friends in Colorado, and has orchestrated a couple of fine interventions for me over the years.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Dude.
He was in my band for like 5 years. We played Red Rocks together and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Thankful to have him. I'll tell you what, it's like, and you probably know this too, throughout your life, these people come into your life, and without those people, life would have been a lot worse. And Chris Reedy's one of those guys that when I got off track, he always threw me back on track and said, dude, you know.
Yeah.
But he wasn't afraid to get in my face and say it, which I think other people may have been intimidated to do that over the years. But
I can see him doing that.
Yeah. He pulled me aside at Red Rocks one time.
He did?
He was like, yeah, I think you guys were playing, and I had taken my shoe off and thrown it on the stage and hit him in the head or something, and at the Toad Tavern. And the next day we're at Red Rocks. He pulled me aside. He's like, dude, you got to get it together. You're a mess. It's like, oh, yeah. But, you know, it hit me, and it definitely bothered me. But I thought, no, I'm cool. He doesn't know, you know, but he was right.
No, he's got a good, like, moral compass, and he'll tell it like it is, I believe.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
for sure.
Well, Brice, I'm so happy to see you doing what you're doing and making such a difference in people's lives.
Thanks.
And it's inspiring, you know, to watch. And I know we've texted a lot over the years. I noticed that today in the Facebook. We have messaged quite a bit, you know, just catching up in between months and months of time. But yeah, sure, I'm proud of you, man.
Thanks. I'm proud of you too. It's, you know, I think what everybody wants, what all of us want, is to be ourselves, to do what we love, and to be appreciated for being ourselves and doing what we love, right? And you're doing it, and I believe I'm doing it. And I think that's, you know, what they say, the key, the secret to life is to do what you love. And if you do what you love, you're like bulletproof, right?
Totally. It's like my grandma used to say, if you do what you love, you never work a day of your life. And I truly feel like I've lived most of my life that way.
Yeah. Cool. Well, keep doing it. I'll come see you guys again if all this ridiculous craziness ends, and I believe it will.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right.
All right, brother. Well, have a great night.
Great.
Bye-bye.
Bye.